Hi, I'm Allison. I'm a literacy specialist and the owner of Learning at the Primary Pond, which is a website that provides literacy resources and teaching materials to K-2 teachers. And in this video, I'm going to share some phonics organization tips with you. Right now, as I'm recording this, we're coming up on summer vacation for some of us anyway, depending on when you're watching this, depending on what your school year is like. And summer is a great time to get organized. And I know we all love organization for organization's sake, but organization, especially with phonics materials, is actually really important because we don't want to be digging around during a lesson, right? We want to have what we need right there in front of us because that makes us more efficient and we can really focus on instruction. The other part of it too is that it saves you time. None of us have, a plethora of extra time to be sitting at school after hours, on weekends, whenever. We want to be able to find what we need and do that quickly. So for that reason, organization to me is so much more than just, oh, it looks nice and cute and organized. It's about saving your time and also even saving instructional time. So I feel like it's really important. But also, personally, I find it fun, not necessarily the organizing part, but when it's all done and nice and pretty. So in this video, I am going to show you resources and how I organize them. I've got all sorts of stuff that you can't see ready to show you. And these materials are from my phonics program, From Sounds to Spelling. However, any kind of phonics program that you use, I know that you can take ideas out of what I'm going to show you. So if you're required to use something different, I absolutely believe that you can take this stuff and kind of modify it and tweak it to meet your needs. So as I'm recording this too, From Sounds to Spelling is officially 1 year old. It was launched in April 2020. Now, as I'm recording this, it's May 2021. So I have shared a little bit about how I organized my phonics materials previously, but now I want to show you 1 year later, 1 year after me using the program as well, right along with many of you, I want to show you what I've been doing. And as I said, summer is a great time to get organized. So if you happen to be watching this and your break is coming up, this is perfect. All right, so let me start with lesson plans. From Sounds to Spelling, if you're not familiar with it, it is a multi-sensory, explicit, systematic phonics program. It's really an early reading program because through the program, you are teaching your kids you're teaching them phonological awareness, you're teaching them phonics, decoding, everything really that they would need to begin, the decoding process and learn to read is included in the program. Of course, you will always want to supplement with read alouds and more writing and more reading for the kids, but this can be the core of your reading instruction for kindergarten, first, or second grade. So that's what the program is all about. I decided to put all of my lesson plans in one binder. So you'll see that this is level 1, which would be the first grade program. Everything is labeled as level K, level 1, or level 2. I don't like to put grade levels on this stuff because I actually personally also use it with kids that are up through like 5th grade who have dyslexia. Because it's systematic, explicit, you can use it with kids at other ages, and there's a placement test to show you like where you would put them. So anyway, everything is labeled as a level rather than a grade level. Oh, Michelle, thank you so much. Michelle says, I love this program, aligns with our OG instruction, that would be Orton Gillingham, and gives me reading and practice materials that align. Amazing, so glad to hear that. All right, so opening up my lesson binder, let me just show you how I have it set up. I think, by the way, if I were gonna go back and do this again, and I may do it eventually, I may put the different units together and not in one binder, and I may put them in like a spiral bound sort of situation because the binder is big. It just, for me, it's not a big deal, but you may want to separate it into the units. Level K has 4 units, level 1, 4, level 2, 5. You may want to separate it out, but let me show you how my binder is set up. First and foremost, I have the overview, which is included in your login if you have a license to the program, and it will show you week by week what phonics, phonological awareness skills, high frequency words, vocabulary, handwriting, if you choose to use that component of the program. And I have every single unit basically outlined here, and I print it out and keep it in the front because for my purposes, sometimes I will need to skip around a little. And when I say my purposes, I do mostly reading intervention. If you're in the classroom, you will probably just be going week by week, but it still does really help to have this all laid out here for you. Next up is just the lesson plans. They're organized by unit. I printed them out on regular paper. I printed them double-sided, and that works fine for me. For every single week, there is a cover sheet that is in the PDF, because you can also just very easily go into the PDF. There's one PDF per week. You say, here are my lessons, followed by the games, activities, materials, whatever else. It really is a lot easier to follow than some programs that have like, look in teacher guide A, now find this in this B. For some reason, that just confuses me. So when I did the program, I made it very clear, this is your PDF, this has all the materials that you're gonna need in this week. You can print, you can do whatever. Just a side note. So this cover sheet will also have options for independent work and other activities that go along with the program, and we'll get to those in a second. But then like here are notes. Every unit also will have a video where I kind of go through the concepts of the unit, but the notes will explain what you're doing in each week. And then the lessons are written so that if you are to be absent unexpectedly, you could literally hand this to a sub and say, teach it, and they should pretty much be able to follow along. Now, as you get more comfortable with the program, you are gonna highlight things, you're gonna be more comfortable saying things in your own words, and that is great. That's what I do because I know the program, I wrote it, but it's there, it's scripted in case you need to hand it to a sub, because none of us wants to be scrambling to write things when we're sick or a child is sick in our home, so it is scripted for you. So the lesson plan binder is pretty much just the lesson plans. I divided them into units. I got these off Amazon. They're Avery. I like the cute colors because I'm silly. But this is just the lesson plan binder. And again, I like having all the lesson plans in one place. I might do a spiral binding in the future for like unit 1, 2, 3, 4. But for now, I just decided to go ahead and go with the binder. I think that if I put all the lesson plans and the other materials, which I'm going to show you momentarily, in one binder, it would just be too much. This is a lot, as it is for a whole year. So that's why I separated them out. When I'm ready to teach, or even when I'm just prepping, I grab the lesson binder and then I go and see what else I need. Okay. All right. Oh, one last thing before we move on to the other binders. I did not put these lessons in page protectors because I feel like that would have just been really time consuming and taken up a lot of room, but you absolutely can if you want to protect them. The nice thing about the program, if you spill coffee on something, if something rips, you can go back in the login and print it out because you will have a lifetime license. Whereas with some phonics programs, it can be nice to have like just the materials ready, but the problem is if it breaks, if it rips, whatever, you don't have a way to just go print it out again. You actually have to reorder, and that's not the case with this. All right, so lesson binder. Now, of course, each week has a lot more than just the lesson plans themselves, right? So we're gonna look at this in a moment. There are gonna be a lot of supplementary materials that go along with the lessons. And before we look at this, I actually wanna skip to the, I don't want to say index cards, but they're like flashcards that go with the program. You're going to have high frequency word cards if you choose to use the cards that are the words that go with the program. You can pair it with your own words. It's easier to use the ones in the program because the kids are then practicing them in the decodable text and all that, but it is really up to you. So you're going to have high frequency word cards. You're going to have word cards that are just like if you're working with digraphs, CH and SH, you're going to have word cards that are like chip and shop and things like that for the kids to practice decoding. And you're also going to have something called blending cards for the blending drill. We'll talk about what this is in a second, but my point is you're going to have some cards. And I kind of went back and forth on how I wanted to store these. And originally, you can see it's not full because I've been moving away from this. Originally, I just had this index card box. But as you can see, the organization sort of deteriorated over the school year. So you can print them in different colors, and you can, like unit 1 cards could be in green and unit 2 could be in blue, and that could be a good way of sorting them. This is something that's on all of the From Sounds to Spelling materials, and I highly recommend if you have to use a different program that you do this to your cards. It says right here, like what kind of words they are, and then the week. I know it's probably very small for you, but it does say like week 3 on there. So when you're sorting things out, because side note, review in phonics is very important. So we're not just doing the week 3 cards, we might be reading words from week 2, week 1, and so on and so forth throughout the school year. That review is important. Your cards are going to get mixed up. That's okay. Mine turn into a mess, but because they have the week written on them, it's a lot easier to sort them again. So back to what I was saying, I did start with this index card box. Yeah, organization was just a little hard. It was lots of rubber bands. Things just started turning into a mess. So what I did is I invested not a lot of money in this, let me see if I can show you holding the right side up, in this photo storage container. It was inexpensive. I'm not going to give you a link or recommend because I bought it on Amazon and I'm not thrilled with the quality. So if you want to do this, I would love for you to find maybe something in a store so you can kind of check the quality and see if it's sturdy enough. This is not something that the kids will be using. It is something that only I am using, but this is not particularly sturdy. If you want to search for something like this, search for rainbow photo storage or just photo storage boxes. Sometimes they have them, at least in the States, they have them in like Michael's or craft stores like that. I know they're available too. Megan. Awesome. Stacy, thanks so much for your comments. Said, using your program has taught me so much as an educator and our students have grown so much. Thank you, Stacy. I really appreciate that. Okay, so diving into this little photo storage thing, the reason I like this is because it made it really easy for me to hold it on my desk. Just keep things straight. And I don't use the rubber bands anymore with the cards. And because the cards are labeled with different weeks, like I said, it's pretty easy to sort. In the program, what I did is I made the word cards. There's different sizes, like you might have smaller ones if you teach in a small group setting. You can absolutely teach whole group or small group or both. These are the larger size of word cards that I've been working on getting set up. My stuff, kind of side note, is not all ready because I've actually been using the program to teach virtually this year. Was not expecting it. It's not a remote teaching program, but it can be done. I know because lots of teachers did it and I did it as well. So I am slowly getting my print materials set up, but not everything's ready. Anyway, the word cards. So these are the word cards that, they'd be working on CH and SH, which is actually the example that I gave. So we'd be reading these words. And then there are the high frequency words. Some of the high frequency words, as many as possible, do match the phonics patterns of the week. It's not always possible, but like, for example, I don't know that this particular week doesn't, but this is just an example. If you're teaching the word she, and if you're working on SH, even though she doesn't have all the sounds that kids would know, it has the long E, teach the word she when you're also teaching SH, because when we're teaching high frequency words, we don't just want them to memorize. We want them to notice the sound and spelling patterns. Okay, I keep getting sidetracked, sorry. So these are the cards that I was trying to show you. These are the word cards. These are the high frequency word cards. They are a different size so that you can easily grab them. Again, they've got the week at the bottom. Highly recommend doing that, very helpful. They go in the little storage box. And then you can also put, and I just have like most of my blending cards all together here. You can also put your cards for the blending drill in here. Now let's talk briefly about the blending drill, not to go off on another tangent, but I think this might help. So for me, it gets challenging with the blending drill. For me, I see a lot of groups, so there's the extra challenge there. But in the blending drill, you are doing things like, let's see if I can grab one together. It's a little bit hard to show you without having a flat surface, but you are having multiple cards, could be 2, 3, 4, and the kids are blending to read words. So I don't know if this is backwards for you, but ow, pow, right? Could be real words, could be nonsense words, and then you flip the other card and they read a new word. So you've got a stack of these cards. And as the year goes on, you're just kind of adding more. Sometimes you are taking away cards because either it's a sound that the kids have mastered or doesn't quite work with the pattern that you're working on now. So these are not necessarily listed by week. I do have like this the keyword at the bottom, but something that you can do to help keep them organized is to color on the back. And I'm gonna do this myself for this set. I haven't done it for this set, but you can color code the backs of these by very lightly just shading, even if it's just a little corner here. So like if you wanted to do the short vowels in blue, you do the short vowels in blue. Maybe you have some long vowel spelling patterns or vowel teams. You do those on the back in green, okay? So then when you need to quickly sort through your cards for the blending drill, you can do that because they are color coded. So the different things that you would color code would depend on the patterns that you're teaching. Depending on your grade level, it might just be for kinder, you know, you're doing like the consonants, the vowels, the digraphs, and you know, that's pretty much it. But for first grade, you might have double final consonants and long, you know, vowel teams. And for second grade, you might have diphthongs. So you can color code them, and that makes it easier to sort out the cards when you're getting ready for your blending drill. These cards will also fit into the storage, the photo storage boxes, if that's something you want to do. Even the largest, everything, all the cards in the program will fit in here. Even the largest size of the word cards, those will also work. Now, of course, you know, I went crazy and I used my labeler that my friend got me as a gift. And I got this all organized. You can use plastic baggies as well. We're going to talk in a little bit about how you might use plastic baggies to stay organized if this is not something that you want to do. So we'll talk about another option in a minute as well. We also talked about how you might print the different words for the different weeks on different colored paper. So that is an option too. Yeah, I think that's about it. And last thing, remember, if you want to search for something like this, a little rainbow photo storage organizer, I would recommend kind of like doing it in the store and seeing how flimsy it is or not flimsy, because I'm not necessarily going to recommend mine, but for me it works and that's fine. All right, so that was all about the cards that go with the program, plus a few tangents. So let's move on to the other materials, because obviously there's more than just flashcards and lesson plans. When I was creating the program, I had in my head like, okay, first of all, I knew that in my experience, I'd use different phonics programs and nothing quite fully fit the bill. I would use some of this and be like, this is good, but then I need to make this, or I need to find this, or I need decodable text, whatever. Nothing really felt, I would say, complete. Nothing felt practical to the level where, you know, I felt like I could just pick it up and teach it. There was always just stuff that I was missing. And I knew that other teachers felt the same way too. So when I was developing the program, I was talking to other teachers. What do you want? What do you need? So there are a lot of materials to really make this a complete program for phonological awareness, phonics. There's a little vocabulary piece that we'll talk about. There's an optional handwriting. And so for that reason, there's going to be a lot of materials that go with each week. Now, you don't necessarily need to print them all. I highly recommend, it is nice to get stuff set up ahead of time, but it's better, like if you're still finishing your school year and you know you want the program for next year, maybe start with the unit and see what materials you really like and you really want to use, because you do not have to print off everything in the PDFs. I do not. Sometimes there's like black and white or color, different levels of decodable text, because I know that not all our kids are exactly at the same place. That's for differentiation. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to print off. So you may want to, if you can, teach a little bit of the program before next school year. I feel like I haven't scrolled down and seen all these comments. So sorry. Colette, so glad it's awesome. Candy, thank you. Super. Alice, I need for you to come help me get organized. Oh my goodness. Where are you, Alice? One of my best friends in the Nashville area, she like just started an organizing business. I was like, you need to come and help me organize my teaching closet. Okay, anyway, so as I said before, my binder is not complete because I have been teaching virtually. Again, it's 2021 when I'm recording this, just coming off this very unique year. But what I'm doing, I have everything printed out that I want, and I'm in the process of getting it into page protectors. So like this, I'm doing 2 units per binder. This is like all the other stuff that's not the cards and not the lesson plans. And I may go down and do like this size binder or a smaller binder. This is 1.5 inches. I may go down to just 1 unit per binder depending how it turns out. But so like in a page protector, I have the the master copy of the decodable text, but I have all the pages in here to kind of save page protectors. And then everything is organized week by week because, again, you can see on the materials, like this is week 2. So you can really easily see, like, okay, I have these activities that go with this week, whether it's like a worksheet or a little game. So I'm still in the process of cutting these, but like the visuals that go with the program, I'm also keeping them in here because sometimes they'll be displayed on the wall, but then sometimes maybe we haven't got to them yet, or maybe the kids have really mastered them. We all know wall space is at a premium, so I will take these and put them on the wall, but then I'll put them back in here when I need to. Okay, so lots of sounds posters, lots of different kind of materials. These are just the resources that would go with whatever you're teaching. Now for me, I don't have a ton of, students because I'm doing reading intervention. So if you have a whole classroom of kids, there may be certain games that like you put in a page protector or in one of those sleeves where the kids can write on them with a dry erase marker. So you may have more copies that are ready, especially if you've been teaching the program for the last year or more. You may have other stuff and you may need to keep that in something like a set of drawers, or you may want to keep, like if you have, let me see if I can get an example. Let's say you have printed off like multiple copies, and this is a first grade beginning of the year game. You print off multiple copies of this, or maybe there's a game with cards. You can just store them in little Sterilite containers like this. This is from Amazon. There are bigger ones as well. This is kind of old, so I don't know if I saw the link. But you could, instead of doing the binder, right, you could have different tubs per unit if you prefer that, and that works well for you. In the tub, you would have a folder. The folder could have like copies of the decodable text. They could have like other worksheets that you would go and run and make copies. It could have like, if you print out multiple of these and there's different sets of them, if there's any little pieces. Even the word cards, right? Like I said, you could just put those in a plastic baggie and keep them in here as well. This would also be a great option. I know we all have different preferences, and mine sometimes is different because I don't have a whole classroom of kids right now. It's just, reading intervention students, but this is another option that I think can work really well. I know at least one teacher who has done it exactly like this, and probably more too. Okay, so back to the binder. I think I wanted to show you one or two more things in here. So, okay, so we talked about the phonics posters. I have some displayed on the wall right now, but as we get to them, and then as we stop using them, put them back in here, keep them all in one place. Oh, there's a full page size of those too, by the way. I'm just using the half page because, like I said, wall space is at a premium. All right, let's talk about the vocabulary posters. So when I created the program, I knew that I also wanted to include a vocabulary element. Now, vocabulary instruction happens throughout all parts of the day, right? Science and social studies, when we're doing read alouds. And so it's important, right? And the other thing is that when kids are learning words, whether it's just like a high frequency word or a word with like the SH or CH digraph, the brain is processing the meaning of the word, the spelling of the word, the sounds in the word. And so we need to make connections to the meaning of the word. We can't just be having our kids like decode and encode or spell endless words without also talking about what they mean. So for that reason, I decided to include a very short, simple vocabulary component of the program. So like we were doing in this week, it's so level 1, week 27. So it's, I think, toward the end of the year, end-ish of the year, and they're doing, I'm pretty sure it was long E, like E, consonant E, compete, stampede. And so these vocabulary posters come with the program. They're optional. You may have room to hang them on the wall, and that's amazing. If you don't, and you want to review from previous weeks too, so obviously you'd cut it in half, hole punch, and then keep them on a ring. So when you want to come back and refer to these words, hey, do you remember what that means? Whatever. When you want to come back and refer to them, you have that wall space, because for me, the wall space is a lot of like the sounds, posters, and other stuff. Even if this is not on the wall anymore, or if it's never on the wall, you have this handy on a ring and you can show them. So that is one option as well for the vocabulary posters. It's just nice to have a visual. There are black and white ones too as well. Or the other option is they're PDFs. Like maybe you just display them on an interactive whiteboard and you don't print them out. You know, everybody has different, printing limitations or preferences. So just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to show you about the phonics materials for you, but I also want to talk briefly about the phonics materials for the kids. If you, by the way, have any questions about this, feel free to type them in the chat. I've sort of been trying to keep my eye on it, but I also lost track, so I always come back and answer questions too if you're watching after the fact. Let's talk about the kids' materials. Okay, so obviously they're going to have all kinds of little games and activities that they're doing, but we're going to focus on the materials that they're using day in and day out. So you've heard me talk about this before, probably, maybe, but From Sounds to Spelling is a multi-sensory program, meaning that we are doing activities that incorporate more than one of the senses. This is really great for kids who have learning difficulties, dyslexia, whatever else. However, it's good and it's fun for all kids. So we build this into the routine. And to me, multisensory in my mind, years and years ago, 10 years ago, more than that, used to be this thing that was like, oh, this is like fun and special. But with my gen ed students, I wasn't really doing it on a regular basis. And the reason for that was because I felt like multisensory had to be like, let's get out the shaving cream and do this. And that is fun. And it cleans the tables really well, but especially at the end of the year. But it's not practical to do regularly. At least it wasn't for me. I just couldn't handle getting out the shaving cream every day. So that'd be a lot of shaving cream too. I realized that I had to make it practical for myself. So there's a couple of ways that I've done it. And one very simple way, you could also do this with a plastic pencil case, by the way, is this colored sand on a paper plate. And this year has been challenging because of germs, and we've had to kind of find ways to make things personal to kids. Again, recording this in 2021, so coming off the pandemic year. But if you can stack different paper plates full of sand, different colors you can use. S says S, or however you want to get them to verbalize, and they're tracing, multi-sensory. It's just built into the program, and it's quick because the kids learn how to use this stuff. I also am very firm on, yes, there are certain times when you can play in the sand or whatever, have fun with it. But when we have this out, it is for this purpose. And if you're not doing the right thing, then I will take it away. So being firm does help, avoid like the throwing sand or the goofing off. Not that they're perfect because they're children. But when you have this routine, it's part of something you do. Divide it up into table groups, have a leader, they all get it out. It can be a lot quicker than that example I gave of like shaving cream on all the tables. So it's built into the program. You set those expectations at the beginning, and I help you set them through Unit 1, and then it's something that they can use throughout the year. Variety is good, however, and different teachers like to do different things. So we have colored sand. You can do it in a plastic pencil case as well, which is great. The kids can each have their own, no sharing germs. This is a gel bag. It's kind of been like a well-used gel bag from this year, but it just has maybe a quarter cup of cheap, inexpensive hair gel from the dollar store and some food coloring and some little sparklies because I just couldn't resist. So basically, I taped over the zippy thing because I, don't want the gel to come out. And so I did that with colored tape. I also took a piece of white cardstock on the back so that they, when they are tracing letters like CH says ch or whatever they're doing, didn't show up too good. Like I said, this has been well loved. It actually shows up a little bit better against the background. So this is another way of doing like personal multi-sensory instruction. So another option, pretty inexpensive, also pretty inexpensive. So that's something, again, you train the kids, they go, they get it, you do the same thing. Of course, maybe you can change the colors or do something to keep it interesting, but they're in the routine. So multisensory doesn't have to be this like special thing that you only do once in a while. You really can build it in. And the program helps you do that. Alrighty, so the Another thing that the kids will need that I resisted, honestly, for a long time when I was in the classroom, was giving them individual sets of magnetic letters. Now, you can DIY it. There are different options, right? What I did here is I just ordered on Amazon magnetic paper. I printed out these letters. If you have From Sounds to Spelling, there are sets of these. So you could either just do like cardboard letter tiles if you want to do Velcro on, a file folder or something cardboardy, that works too. But you can print these out if you have the program. I took, From Sounds to Spelling, I took the magnetic paper and glued these. Obviously it takes a while. I have a smaller than average baking sheet that I got also from Amazon. It was in a set. I have like different sets of these. But then you can stack them. The thing about this is that we have to train our kids from the beginning of the year, not kindergarten. We don't use these with kindergarten at the very beginning of the year. We have to train them, though, to keep them alphabetized. You may not need 2 of each letter, especially at first, but the expectation is that they stay alphabetized, otherwise it becomes a hot mess. So when I introduce these, they have time to play. I just, I say, hey, like, what do you notice? Oh, they're in alphabetical order. We'll sing the alphabet song, and at least with first graders and kindergartners, and they have some time to play and explore. And then I really explain, like, hey, at least in a typical year, we're going to be sharing these, and if you don't keep these in order, your friend is going to, pick this up, and they're not going to be able to find the letter X, or they're not going to be able to find the letter O. So I am pretty firm on making sure that they put these back alphabetized. And I have routines in place, like, oh, somebody's the checker, so they make sure that everything's alphabetized. If you have a volunteer, or an aide, that can help, but really I put it on the kids. That's the expectation. I've also used, in this particular school year, I used a set that I got from Amazon, and that was a magnetic, whiteboard. And so the letters were pre-made. I didn't have to do those. Those were quite good as well. Other phonics programs, other websites will have sets of magnetic letters, but the reason why I love for the kids to have these is because it allows them to build words regularly. And there's so much we do whiteboards too, right? Like, they have their own whiteboards, they have markers, we write words on whiteboards, and then we have dictation that happens on paper. But, like, for example, let's say that I have the kids make the word chip, right? So I'm going to build it. You can say stuff, and you can do this on whiteboards too, and they can point, and I do that on whiteboards. Okay, show me the letter, or show me the vowel, right? What sound does the vowel make? Eh. All right, maybe hold up the 2 letters that say ch, or whatever. Tell me the last sound in the word. Okay, show me the last letter in the word, right? So they can kind of manipulate them. This is also multi-sensory because they're actually physically building the words. Of course, if you're in a pinch for time, have them write it on whiteboards. My kids love using whiteboards as well. But we do use these pretty regularly, so it is very handy for each kiddo to have their own set, however you want to do that. If you have an amazing idea for how you've done that with your kids in an affordable way, would love to hear it in the comments. Always looking to share new ideas, because I know that sometimes it can get a little bit pricey. All of this stuff, though, honestly, this is your core reading instruction, your core phonics and phonological awareness instruction. Ideally, you should be able to have your administrators, your school, your district purchase this for you. On that note, if you ever want to send them to me via email, I am happy to talk to them. I can get on the phone, or somebody on my team can get on the phone with them, or Zoom. We can provide support to you in getting it paid for by your school or district. Just email or Facebook message and or message me somehow and let us know what you need, because we are here to support you with that. Ideally, for those of you that have purchased it yourself, that is amazing, so appreciated, but this is a full program that should be paid for by your school. So if I or somebody on my team can support you with that, I would love to be able to do that. All right, so the last thing that I haven't shown you that the kids would really benefit from, and I don't have an example because it's pretty basic, but the last thing is a folder. Just a plain old folder. For the decodable text, for example, you may print out, like if you're in level K or level 1, there's a book format And there's a one-page passage format. I don't know if I have the one-page passage format printed here, but so like, let me just hold real quick the book format, right? So you may have a couple of copies that are like color and super nice, and you're like, oh, I really want to save these. I don't want the kids to take them home or rip them. Great. There's a passage version of every text that's book format. Level 2, it's all passages because the kids are a little bit older. But there is a passage version of every decodable text, so you can make your like nice set of decodable texts if you want to. And if you don't want to give them to the kids to take home to practice, just give them the same text but in a passage format. So coming back to the folders idea, they can take their decodable text, whether it's the book or the passage, they can keep them in there for rereading. Rereading them is so important for building that fluency, right? We really never want a kiddo to read a decoded text only once. We've got to come back to it and read again so that they develop that fluency. It's especially important if you're like, oh my goodness, my kids are like saying the sounds and blending to read all words and it's taking forever. Well, that's good that they can do that, but rereading is going to help them speed things up. I get asked that question so many times, and a lot of, it's different, right, depending on the kid and the situation, but often if the decoding is happening, but it's very slow and painful, a lot of times all they just need is more practice, and rereading is great for that. Not getting off on a tangent too far, folders. They can have folders with their decodable texts. We do, in the program, we do like a high frequency word routine. There may be like worksheets or things you want them to work on. Just have them have a folder for all of those materials, have them clean it out periodically. But with the multi-sensory material, right, the word building tiles, the whiteboards and markers, and the folder, between that, it should be pretty well covered. Other than that, like, the program doesn't require fancy things like dice for a game. You may want to get some of those spinner overlays that are clear, pretty inexpensive. I think you can get them on Amazon or other like teacher stores. They can also just use a paper clip and a pencil. So it's not requiring a lot of fancy stuff. This is, of course, a lot of materials to like get set up. But once you have your setup, you are organized. And like I said, that makes a big difference in your personal time that you spend. I know you probably spend more than your contract hours. If you do spend just your contract hours, good for you, and I am impressed. But if you are ending up spending more time, the more organized you can be, the less time you will spend over your contract hours or whatever your teacher required hours are, and the more efficient you can be with your kids. All right, so all of this that I showed you too is in the login, so you print it. If it tears, go back. There's videos, there's PDs in the login of From Sounds to Spelling. And remember, like I said, if you need help sharing this information with your district administrators or your school administrator, your principal, whatever, please come to me. Let me know how I can help, or let me know how our team can help. We are more than happy to help you. If you do have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I'm going to come right back and see if I missed anything. If you're watching this later, same thing. Ask questions, send me a message. Always happy to help. To learn more about From Sounds to Spelling, just go to FromSoundsToSpelling.com. You can read more about the program, and you're always welcome to send a message and just say, hey, I'm interested. I want to learn more. And I'm also happy to chat with you and help you figure out if it's a good fit for your situation, because you might be wondering, well, I'm a title teacher, I do this or I do that. I can help share both how other teachers are using it and how I personally have used it in different scenarios. It doesn't just have to be a classroom program. All right, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any amazing phonics organization tips, I would also love to hear them. Thank you for watching. I'm going to come back and answer any questions that you have. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.